Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the coach. Whoa, I'm at the gym today, as opposed to in the studio. It's after hours, and I sincerely hope that the folks downstairs singing karaoke cannot be heard overpowering this microphone, because I don't want to get demonetized for playing copyrighted music in the background. So I got this clip-on microphone here. Anyway, we got some questions today. The first big shout out to the channel sponsor, No Gi, bjjgear.com. They make awesome rash guards like this one. Go check them out. Don't forget to use my code Ramsey10 for 10% off everything on the website. Great stuff, great designs. Our first question comes from our friend Chris. Chris is 42 years old. Hey, me too. It's a great age to be. And he's taking a kickboxing class, and his coach keeps telling him to relax and punch faster. But he's having a hard time doing that. It just doesn't seem like there's a trigger in his brain to punch faster. And he wants to know if I have any tips. And yes, I do. Two things that will determine your punching speed: your footwork and your breathing. What slows people down, what holds people back in punching speed, is arm punching. That means punching from just the arms. Also squeezing the fists in place. If you relax the hands, keep them nice and open, and then tense up on impact, as opposed to squeezing first and then pushing that arm forward, it's going to slow us down. But the breathing, probably the most important thing. I've got a whole video on footwork, many videos on footwork, but one specifically about footwork as it pertains to punching. But let's focus on the breathing here, because we're looking right at my face. You can probably hear me breathing over this microphone. If I hold my breath, try it. Hold your breath and throw a bunch of punches. Just start shadow boxing. It's going to look sloppy and slow, and you're going to run out of breath and be very tired. But now let's change that. Take a deep breath and relax. And every time you punch, exhale a little bit. Like that, like you're making little sound effects. You can hiss, you can hem, you can haw, you can make karate noises, hi-ya, whatever. But push some air out violently and tense up those abdominal muscles as you throw that punch. So we go from loose to tight as we exhale. And do that for a minute and breathe. Okay, and something's different about that. The punches happen much faster. I think I'm bumping the microphone while I'm punching. Apologize for that noise, but not really, because we're moving. So yeah, Chris, make sure you're breathing. Exhale when you punch, exhale when you get hit. It's that important. It's super important to breathe. Surprise. Next question. Our next question comes from our friend Geisha or something like that. He is training 5 of his friends, and he feels like he's doing it the right way, but they're getting bored. All they want to do is punch the bag and not pay attention to proper form according to him, and he's wondering what's going on there. How can he help them to improve? They don't want to spar, they just want to hit that bag, and they feel like that's what's making them improve. Okay. He goes on to say, they want me to train them, but when I train them, they are not listening. What should I do? Now, one thing that stood out about this question was this line right here. I am training them the right way in my opinion, but they are getting bored way too fast. If it gives you the result you want, that's the right way. It's not giving you the result you want, so that's not the right way. Now, you may or may not, I don't know, but let's just assume you are giving them technically correct information. Maybe you are teaching them to punch and kick, and you're doing it in the way that is correct, technically. but you're losing them. They're not listening, they're not paying attention. Meh. Okay. Coaching and teaching, those are art forms. It's not enough to know how to throw that perfect punch or that perfect kick. You also must know how to teach and how to coach, and that takes just as much, if not more, experience. You can't expect to become a great fighter and then just magically be able to impart that wisdom, that experience to other people instantly. It takes time, it takes effort. It's a unique skill set. Surprise. Coaching and fighting are not the same skill set. They're radically different, and you need to respect that. You have to respect that. One thing I do as a coach is I always try to learn from other coaches. I look at how other coaches are doing it. Not just coaches of martial arts, but coaches of all things. Coaches of weightlifting, coaches of football, coaches of sports I don't even play. I look at teachers of subjects that I don't even learn, because I want to learn how to learn. I want to learn how to teach. It's an art form, and you always have to be updating your processes, because there's always a better way to do it. You have to assume that there's a better way to do it, because as soon as you assume I'm doing that the right way and there's no other way and this will always be the right way forever and ever, amen, then you're doing it wrong. And you're cutting yourself off from improvement. You're damming yourself. You're building a dam around yourself and not allowing any further progress. So cut that out. Stop it. Stop it right now. Ask your friends some questions. Communicate with them. Teaching is about communication. One of the most important ways to teach is to ask questions, engaging questions, and not yes or no questions, questions that foster critical thought. Why do we do it this way? It's not enough to show them this is the correct way to throw a punch. Ask yourself, and then also ask them, why? Why am I bringing this hand back over here to my chin? Why am I pulling this shoulder back as I punch my opposite hand forward? Why does that happen? Why do I bring my shoulder up here to bring up my chin as I throw my right hand? What's that? What is that for? It's not enough to tell them, this is the right way. Why is it the right way? There's so much that goes into this. It's a long, arduous journey. The first time I taught a martial arts class, it was a kids' taekwondo class, and I remember before the class, I got my black belt on, I got my uniform on, I'm expecting all those kids to line up, and I'm expecting it to be just like it was when my taekwondo teachers taught me. They'd all line up and they would bow and they would show respect, and those kids would want to be there because they would love the idea of learning martial arts, because of course they would have idolized Bruce Lee just like I did as a kid, because I was a wimpy little nerd who got beat up by school bullies, and surely they would be in the class because they were exactly like me. No, wrong, absolutely wrong. Vastly different life experiences from everybody. Surprise, everybody's different. And these kids, man, I lost their attention instantly. Why? Because I was trying to emulate this model that I saw. Line up, bow, barking out orders, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working because I didn't understand teaching children. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're a high school kid. Maybe you're teaching your teenage friends. Maybe they have short attention spans. Maybe you're an adult and you're teaching other adults. Maybe you're boring. It's totally possible to be technically correct and totally boring. I get people telling me my channel is boring all the time. You talk too much. This channel is boring. I don't like talking. I like seeing people punch and kick each other. Okay, that's fine. Go watch some videos of people punching and kicking each other. I got a bunch of those on this channel too. But we do a lot of talking here too. Why? Because we're addressing questions. It's very important to ask questions, to come up with questions, because if we don't ask the questions, we won't find the answers. But it's also very important to ask yourself the questions so that you can come up with the answers. Because if you are not answering your own questions, you won't respect that answer. If it's simply given to you, if the perfect way to do it is simply given to you, you don't see it as perfect. How many of you, as children, just instantly respected your parents' experience and wisdom when they told you important things? Or did you question it and push the boundaries and test them? Learning is a long process. There's no one magic trick. You got to work in it. You got to log the hours, day in and day out. But one more time, communicate with your friends. Communicate with your students. Don't simply demand respect from them. Show respect to them. Respect their time. Respect the fact that they are bored with the way that you are teaching, and respect the fact that maybe, just maybe, there's a better way to do it. Our next question comes from Mayhem Man, who says, how smart does someone need to be in order to be a good fighter, or something like that? That's highly variable. But one thing you should know about intelligence is that there are many different types of intelligence. There is cognitive intelligence, which most of us think about, how smart we are, as far as science, cognitive reasoning, mathematics. But there's also emotional intelligence, our ability to empathize with other human beings, our ability to feel what other people are feeling. There is kinesthetic bodily intelligence, the ability to move our body intelligently. A lot of people talk about a concept called fight IQ. That guy has a good fight IQ. That guy's a very intelligent fighter. He moves in a very smart way. And that's a totally different thing than solving calculus problems. But it's a type of intelligence. So to be a good fighter, you do need a high level of kinesthetic bodily intelligence. Now, it helps if you have other types of intelligence, if you have emotional intelligence, so you can have a good relationship with your coach and learn better, because that does facilitate the learning process. Or if you are the coach, it does facilitate the teaching process. It does help if you have a higher degree of cognitive intelligence. Then you can figure some stuff out technically that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. But, you know, there are some stupid people out there who are good fighters. That probably shouldn't come as any surprise, but there are some extremely intelligent guys out there, very smart guys who have high degrees of cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence, and kinesthetic bodily intelligence as fighters. Again, it's highly variable. There are three things you need to win fights: aggression, athleticism, and technique. And most people, when they teach a martial art, they focus almost exclusively on technique. But if that's all you excel at, and you fight a guy who is very good at effective aggressiveness, and he is highly athletic, and he's an elite level athlete, he's probably going to kick your butt, even if you're highly technical. If you have a guy who's highly technical and he's an elite level athlete, and you're fighting against a guy who only has one of those things, he's probably going to kick your butt. But if you're good at all three of those things, if you're an elite level athlete, if you are very good at effective aggressiveness, that's not just going wild and crazy, that is effectively channeling your aggression in the right way at the right time, and persistently pursuing the goal of finishing the fight, and also your technique is good and you know what you're doing technically, then you're going to win some fights fairly consistently. How much intelligence does that take? It takes enough intelligence to put one foot in front of the other, to go on this little short journey over to wherever it is you train. We're going to call that place there. You're going to get out there and you're going to train. That's how much intelligence it takes to get good at fighting. Our next question comes from our friend Port Morant 2008, who says, what is the difference between amateur and professional kickboxing? At age 40, should I avoid taking part in amateur kickboxing tournaments? Well, the difference between amateur and professional is that professionals get paid and amateurs don't. That is the difference. Professional fighting is prize fighting. It's fighting for money. You will get paid for it. How much? That's highly variable. How good are professional fighters? That's highly variable. There are some bums out there who are getting paid to fight, and there are some very high-level trained killers who are paid to fight. How good are amateurs? Also, that's highly variable. There are some bums who don't know what they're doing, who just got off the couch, and they wanted to give it a go, and there are some guys with 20 amateur fights under their belt who've been training for years, and the only thing stopping them from being a professional is the fact that they don't want to be a professional, and they want to be the big fish in the smaller pond. So again, the skill level is highly variable. At age 40, should you partake in amateur kickboxing tournaments? If you want to, if you're able to and you want to, sure. If you don't want to and you don't feel like you're able to do it, then don't. Man, I'm not going to make up your mind. I'm answering this question specifically because you asked what is the difference between amateur and pro. That's something that some people don't know and some people should know. But I get a ton of questions from people asking me to make up their minds about simple things that they should be able to solve for themselves. This is one of those. Do you want to fight? If yes, then train, get ready to fight, and then do it, and be prepared to live with the potential consequences of that fight, both physical and psychological, etc. If you don't want to fight, there's your answer. Man, I get so many questions from guys saying, hey coach, I love your channel. I have a question for you. Should I train in Jiu-Jitsu or Muay Thai? And the answer, you should know. You are you. Do you want to train in Jiu-Jitsu? If yes, train in Jiu-Jitsu. Should you train in Muay Thai? If yes, train in Muay Thai. If you don't want to train in either, go do something else with your life that you want to do. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to finish that rant about that. There are many questions out there that need to be asked, and some that you need to ask and answer yourself. As far as matters of opinion, figure those ones out for yourself. Thanks for watching. If you have questions for future editions of Q&A with the coach that are not, should I train in Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu? Because my answer is yes, of course you should. Unless you don't want to. Leave those questions in the comments down below or email me at ramseydewey@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.